guys, Standing Simmer here today, and welcome back to the channel for another Sims 4 speed build. Guys, I'm really excited about this one. I mean, I feel like I always am. Do I always introduce my speed builds that way? I honestly don't even know. But I am particularly excited about this one compared to some others even. That's not even really true. I'm just excited to be sharing this with you guys because this is another installment of my Building Up Windenburg series. Let's all say it together. Finally, Mariah is back with this series. It's only been, what, like several months now, because I did put it on hold before Get Famous ever came out, and Get Famous came out like just over 2 months ago, I think. The main reason I put it on hold to begin with was more because with the addition of Get Famous to the game and then also terrain tools and everything, I was kind of in a bit of a holding pattern, just kind of waiting for all this new content to release and to be added to the game and for me to get my hands on it, mainly because I knew that Windenburg would be such a place that I knew I would want to at least incorporate terrain tools, and I didn't want to go without all the extra content that Get Famous would undoubtedly be tempting me with when it came to putting in builds. Now, honestly, the Get Famous atmosphere, both with the mid-century modern stuff, you know, that California craftsman as the Sims team calls it, and then also on the other side of things with the more glam and glitzy type stuff, none of that really fits well into at least what my vision of Windenburg is supposed to be. But still, like, there's always stuff, like clutter stuff, if nothing else, wall decorations, whatever. There's always stuff you want to use when a new pack comes out, regardless of whether it fits the overreaching style of a build that you're putting together. So I was kind of just like, I just put this whole series on hold, wasn't really sure when I'd be getting back to it. I had intended to do so more just after the new pack came out, because then we had everything that I mentioned. But then guys, Christmas happened, and all of a sudden it was winter builds, and at the same time I was kind of like finding myself very little free time overall, so I was just kind of uploading like a single build a week, and that is to an extent still the case, but I feel like I'm with the addition of some new changes on the channel, I feel like I'm able to better manage that time just as a whole. And so long story short, we're back today, guys, and I'm really excited to be doing so. Naturally, just the other day, actually, I kind of went through I just actually created a brand new blank save, which I have blank saves to be my building saves in my specific building save file. Like I have a even like a separate game file just for building. That way none of the CCR mods that I use is overreaching into my build save to kind of like make it glitchy or anything like that. But I opened a brand new blank save and put in all the lots that I've already created for Windenburg, and just kind of looked at the map as a whole and just became very inspired to continue building this save. So guys, 2 builds this week that you're going to be getting, which is very cool for one thing, because I don't even remember the last time I uploaded 2 builds in a single week, but you'll be getting 2 builds this week, and both are for this Windenburg save, which I'm just excited to be sharing these with you guys. So yeah guys, we are building over here in, naturally, Windenburg. This is the original lot where the Bear sisters lived, and I don't even exactly 100% know how to pronounce the name of the lot. It's Waterlock Redoubt, I imagine, that's how it looks phonetically, but I don't know if redoubt, I don't exactly know what that word means. Tell you what, give me just a second and we'll look it up together. Okay guys, so now I feel just even more confused, because apparently redoubt is the way to pronounce it, but the definition of it is kind of military in origin, and it means a temporary or a supplementary fortification, typically square or polygonal and without flanking defenses. So I don't exactly know how that would apply to the outside structure of what this house is initially. I mean, I don't necessarily get military like fortification vibes from this house per se. Regardless, that's the name of this house. I might actually keep it something like that in the actual, like the lot that goes up on the gallery. I honestly don't even remember off the top of my head right now if I've shared this to the gallery or not just yet. Regardless, by the time this goes up, it will be on the gallery. But the theme I was keeping with this whole lot when I built it from the ground up was a set of roommates would be living here, including the original Bear sisters, because I gave Candy and Yuki a makeover on stream. By the time this video is going up, it's been several weeks ago now, but I was kind of just in the mood one night. I think it was like a Thursday, so kind of like just a chill, casual type stream. That's kind of like all my streams in general, but I was wanting to give Townie makeovers, and I didn't exactly know who I wanted to make over, and so I chose those 2 because I think that they're fantastic. Those two gals, they're just they're very cool. Like I kind of want to be their friends in real life. And so I was going to be moving in a member of a current household that I'm not going to be playing anymore in with them, but I wanted them to have a place to live. Couple that with the fact that I had to have a lot to go here anyway for the save as a whole. It was just really good inspiration for me to just get my act together and build something on this lot. I was so inspired by the cool, they have a very unique front yard in this initially, and I actually kept the vast majority of that front yard area because I just think it looked interesting. I mean, it probably is kind of weird when it all comes down to it. Some people might not like the way that it looks, but the original house and the way I kept it was such that in the front yard area, the house sits back a little bit ways from the main road, and then on either side of the house in the front there are these two long kind of rectangular stretches of yard, and then in between is the pathway that leads up to the front door. So it's a pretty unique looking front entrance to a house. I kind of wanted to keep that because it just looked kind of interesting to me. Two, I didn't want the house to be built so close up to the road as a whole that it would just feel like it was smashed up against the front part of the lot, because there's a clock tower up there in the front part of the lot, like just in front of the house, that when you upload it to the gallery, the clock tower is like right there. Like in the screenshots, it would have been right in front of the field of vision in front of the house. And so the house sitting back a little bit from off the road area, the main road, isn't a bad thing at all. And so that was kind of what I kept with regard to the front yard. I added brand new landscaping and just stuff out there in general, of course, but the house is oriented very similarly compared to what it was in the original house with, you know, the front yard area. And the house is so large and the lot area that was left was so small that there really is no back or side yard areas. I do put some landscaping around the house, both to the back and the front and the side, of course, but there wasn't really like a lot of extra room to create another set of yards. So you have two like long, narrow strips of yard in the front of the house, and then that's pretty much all the yard you get with this house. It's all in the front. I'm really excited with the way that this house turned out. I kind of like it a lot. Even though I had initially planned on not playing with these guys, I might end up using this house for something, I don't know. Kind of going with the theme that my Windenburg save is going to be kind of like a nod to like a university or a college town. I thought that houses that are pretty large but that are outfitted for a set of roommates it's pretty realistic. I feel like if you have a set of young people living in a house like this, they would have to have a roommate or two probably. If they're just like teenagers or young adults living on their own, then they probably need some help financially in order to keep up this house. I think in the original description of the household, the Bear sisters, they inherited this house from their grandmother. So I was trying to also, in addition to the fact that this is very much furnished for young people, I wanted to keep some more traditional themes going as well. So you can see that I use some like more like patterned and just paneled wallpaper, which is not something I tend to reach for all the time. I kind of went back and forth a lot with what to put on the walls in this house, which is why I skipped the vast majority of that, especially for the main living areas. So some of the rooms look like they're a little bit newer. Perhaps they have like all paint on the walls with maybe some crown molding or some baseboarding or something like that, or both. And then of course, like the main living area has more of that paneling with the wallpaper. It's pretty subtle. I didn't want to go full granny on this house because I don't feel like that's a style that the sisters who live here with their roommates would keep. However, I did want to make it look like they didn't completely rehaul the entire inside of this house, because I don't feel like they would have the funds to do so. They would probably just make it work the way it was to the best of their ability and really just fill the house with a lot of their own unique style furnishing. So I went for a lot of bright colors, some more like modern type pieces for the inside, such as just so that it would look like they had accumulated some of the stuff like going into it, and that it wasn't all the original furniture, but it was all the original walls and like the other pieces inside the house. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of what I was going for this house. So all in all, it's been several weeks since I built this house, and I don't 100% remember exactly the ratio of bedrooms to bathrooms, but I do know for sure that there are 3 furnished bedrooms with the potential to add maybe a 4th bedroom if you were kind of wanting to outfit one of the upstairs rooms that I eventually turned into something else into a bedroom instead. And then as far as bathrooms go, I want to say that there are at least 3, but there's a good possibility that there are 4. I'm sorry that I didn't like confirm that ahead of time. Again, when it's on the gallery, the numbers should be correct for the most part. And you know, when it comes down to it, what's like an extra bedroom or bathroom, but there are 3 furnished bedrooms for sure. And the downstairs one, there are a couple upstairs, upstairs, but the downstairs one was one that I specifically had Yuki in mind for when I was furnishing. Yuki is very tech-minded, very programming. I don't 100% remember if video gaming was mentioned in her description, but I kind of lumped the two together because in The Sims, the computer was aspiration, it complements the two nicely together. And so whether or not video gaming is a part of what Yuki likes to do, programming is for sure. So she's very much into the programming skill, hacking, things like that, very much her scene. And so the bedroom that I outfitted for her, I definitely wanted to make sure had like a lot of technology sitting around. She has a dual monitor setup, so she has a computer and then the second screen, which is technically a television. And then she also has a little TV up on the wall as well. And so she has a really nice room. I imagine a lot of teenagers or young adults in general would love to have a room like that. She has a double bed, but it's shoved up against the wall because it's a really teeny tiny room when it all comes down to it over there in the corner. And then I actually forgot about another room on the downstairs floor that's just next to Yuki's over there, which we may or may not be furnishing kind of in this area. I've mentioned before, like I'm not 100% paying attention when I'm doing the voiceover anyway and when it comes to the playback, but there's another downstairs room that I turn into an office with some bookcases and things like that. It's very simply furnished, but that is definitely another room that you can turn into a bedroom. So it sounds like, if I'm recalling everything correctly, this house could have up to 5 bedrooms. Only 3 of them are furnished, but that's because I wanted to make way for other items like skill building items and things like that. I feel like if you have a group of younger people who are either, you know, quote unquote in college or who are like starting off their careers, you need some of that more common type area. You'd need like a common computer and like a bookcase area or a library. And then on the upstairs floor, the more non-traditional room that could be another bedroom is one that I turn into Candy's like DJ studio with a dance floor and all that kind of stuff. It's only just barely big enough to hold all that stuff, but I think it works out pretty well in the end. So again, the downstairs bedroom is furnished more for Yuki's style and her personality, which is very much in like the programming, possibly gaming. Gaming would work, no problem, if you had a sim who had those types of interests. But then on the upstairs floor, the bigger bedroom that's up there is one that I intended for my sim who was moving in with this household, and she wants to be a vet. And so you'll see eventually, as soon as I like kind of get a hold of my furnishing here, they'll see eventually that there are a lot of animal items in here, a lot of posters that are kind of vet-like. I imagine that there would be a pretty prominent set of schools in Windenburg specifically. I don't know why I always have envisioned Windenburg as a university town. I also know that a lot of people do that kind of gameplay in like on Tumblr, for example, that, you know, Windenburg University is very much a thing, kind of just like an underreaching current. So I feel like in the future, if we were to ever have a university buildings that you could place anywhere, I would have to make Windenburg my college town. Like it just seems like it fits so well. I think a part of that is because Windenburg is such an old town. Like you can tell it has such rich history, and I associate it with being kind of European in a way too. I don't know, it just seems to have that style to me. So when I think about university towns and where I could fit in that kind of playthrough, Windenburg is just the first place to come to mind. So I imagine that there would be no problem at all with Windenburg having some kind of like a prominent vet university or something along those lines. Also probably some vet clinics where their students could intern and things like that. Let me know, guys, if you would want to see a vet clinic in Windenburg specifically. It's been a really long time since I put out like the earlier set of videos in the series where I was asking you guys for suggestions, and I still have a list of suggestions, but I haven't consulted that list in a while. So let me know if, now that there are for sure quite a few brand new people here in the audience that maybe didn't see any of the earlier builds or anything like that, let me know if you guys have any suggestions, any of you, like the new people, the older people, whatever. If you guys have any suggestions for what to put in Windenburg, let me know, because my plan right now with the more common town area of Windenburg is I was hitting such a builder's block when I was initially putting together this save, because I don't build community lots well from scratch. It's just not my strength. It really just isn't. And so because it's not my strength, I was kind of like I felt like I kept running up against a wall with putting together community lots for the save. I have literally come over to my computer multiple times and started building a variety of community lots, and only like 1 or 2 have come through. Like there's a restaurant over in the waterfront area of Windenburg that I did manage to enjoy building and like the final product. But really all of the other ones have been relatively unsuccessful. And I think that that's more just because of I don't know if it's just like a lack of creativity. I just don't like the final product with a lot of community lots that I build. So long story short, what I was kind of thinking about doing was repurposing the existing community lots to being not only the community lots I had in mind, but maybe multiple community lots. Like for example, there's a cafe. I think there's also a library, and there are definitely a couple other community lots. Again, in the main town portion, there's actually like a little quad around like a circle type area that is very community lot centered in Windenburg. And I was thinking about repurposing those lots into being maybe not only what they currently are, but then with the addition of another lot. Like instead of only one community lot taking up a space in town, maybe making one lot into multiple things so that it has multiple purposes. Those are honestly my favorite kind of community lots. For example, the very first community lot I built for Windenburg is one that I love, and it was the quarter laundry and cafe. So it literally has like what is the closest thing to a functioning laundromat that we could have in The Sims on one side, and then a cafe with a music studio and like just open live music type area on the upper floor. It's just kind of a cool lot. And the fun thing about that is that you don't just have a lot that has a single purpose. Your Sims can go there and do a whole bunch of things. They can involve both of the gameplay aspects or none of the gameplay aspects, whatever. But let me know, guys, if you would want to see anything like that, if there are combinations of community lots you'd want to see, if you're okay with the idea of renovations, because it's not something I had initially intended to do. I was hoping to kind of build Windenburg up from the ground and it be completely all unique lots. But if it's between me like finishing community lots and finishing this save and not, because I don't feel like I have the inspiration for it to build new community lots, I feel like I would take doing the renovations and just kind of repurposing them to the best of my ability versus just like never continuing on with the save. I don't know. That's just kind of what I'm thinking. Let me know if you guys would be opposed to that, or if you have any ideas for, once again, combinations of community lots, because that's kind of where I'm heading right now mentally for putting all this stuff together, you know? So guys, we are pretty much done with the vast majority of the house and just kind of like finishing up the little touches here and there. The upper floor, I was talking about the one room that was more for like a vet students, and then the very pink bedroom was one that I imagined to be for Candy, and then of course next door is the room where she had like the DJ studio, and there's a cardboard dance floor, and it's just got some fairy lights everywhere, and it just looks really cute. So I figured that since, you know, Candy and Yuki are the original people who live in this house, it wasn't 100% fair to not give Candy the bigger bedroom, but she has one bedroom, and then she also has the other room where she gets to use, you know, she gets to use it for all of her like DJ stuff, which I feel like is a somewhat fair trade-off. I mean, like, it'll work when it all comes down to it, you know? So guys, I think that as crazy as it is, the build is kind of starting to round to a close, and I want to go ahead and just like say a couple more quick things, which is that this build is available on the gallery by the time that this video is going up, and you can find all the information to download it, including the link to do so, down in the description below, and so definitely go check that out if you would like. And once again, let me know about the whole community lot thing and what other things you'd like to see in Windenburg, especially since we probably have way more new people here now than just a few months ago when I was initially starting this save. I do want to say thank you guys as well so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and round things off right there. So I hope you're having the best of days, and I will see you very soon. Bye!